it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So for this week, we are going to be exploring some of the new books that have come in during our summer months. And we've had a ton of new stuff come in. We still have new stuff coming in. And I always like to remind you, when you come into the library, we have a new teen book section. It's right under the Baby Yoda poster. Always check there because you never know what we may be getting in that you are looking forward to, exploring, discovering, to read. We have 6 amazing titles. We have some fiction, we have some nonfiction, some of my favorites that I've read in the past couple of months, and I cannot wait to share them with you. So let's get started. Our first one is one of those favorites, and I will tell you this. You know, I'm not a huge fantasy reader. Loved this one though. This is the Year of the Reaper. Now, in this adventure-packed fantasy, we start by meeting 18-year-old Cass. And Cass is making his way home across a land that has been ravaged by disease and by drought. Like, it does not look familiar at all from what he is used to ever seeing. Now, as he's making his way home, you learn more about his story, and when he gets to his home, to his realm, he soon finds himself, literally, he gets there, he doesn't even say anything, there's a procession taking place, and it is then that he saves the infant crown prince from an assassin attack. And he's going to drown, he dives in the river, he saves the prince, and then everyone figures out who he is, and they're shocked that he's there because they think that he's dead. They've had a funeral for him and everything. Soon, you learn that quickly he's a nobleman, his brother is running the kingdom, and everything has changed, including Cass. He's changed through his experience, plus now he has the ability to see ghosts, which is something he didn't have before, and he quickly finds himself sucked into this intricate plot in which the royal family is the target. Someone wants to kill them, and the individuals involved will stop at nothing to make sure that in order to get to their goal. It's gonna be up to Cass to stop whoever it is. There is a slow build of a romance. It's not the primary focus though, but it does actually add to the story, so I will tell you that. But this standalone fantasy is actually more adventure than it is fantasy. I truly enjoyed this one. There were some twists and turns. There were some things I wasn't expecting. Year of the Reaper. Blaine for the win. So high school junior Blaine is getting ready for the biggest date of his life, and it's the 1-year anniversary of his relationship with Joey, and he knows there is going to be some sort of epic surprise. Believe it or not, he is epically surprised though when it is Joey who breaks up with him. And the reason given is that Blaine is just not serious enough for him. Shocked, stunned, Blaine decides that he needs to win Joey back. And the only way he's going to be able to do that is to run for senior class president. But naturally, there is only 2 days left in the campaign to get on the ballot, to campaign, to do all that type of stuff. And then he finds out who his opponent's gonna be. His opponent's gonna be Zach, Joey's new boyfriend. Now, Blaine is going to need the help of his friends who are totally supportive, and if he's going to succeed, he starts to realize things about himself and about others that will totally change his outlook on life. This realistic feel-good story is one that is totally relatable and will have you cheering Blaine on as he goes through this life-changing adventure in a very short time span. This is Blaine for the win. Gallant. So, Orphaned Olivia Pryor has lived at the Maryland School for Independent Girls since she's been 1 year old. That's how long she's been orphaned for, because now at the start of her story, she is 14 years old, and she's over that horrible place. Now, Olivia is deaf. She communicates through sign language. No one at the school signs. They don't even bother trying. They think she's stupid, that they call her dumb all the time. And she also has this ability to see ghouls, which kind of makes her set apart from everyone else as well. And it's when she receives a letter from her uncle that he invites her to come live at his manor known as Gallant, that she thinks everything's finally going to change for the better. I mean, it can only go up, right? But when she arrives, it's nothing that she imagined it would be. Let's start with the fact that her uncle is actually dead. So there's that. The manor is completely run down. It's not even really livable, to be honest. And and is run by these caretakers. Some of them want her there, others of them don't. It is there, though, that she starts to explore the manor. She starts seeing these ghouls that she can see. She communicates with them, and she starts to learn like secrets and answers, like questions she has about her family. And she starts to figure out what actually is the deal and what really happened. It's going to be there that Olivia is going to have to choose what it is that she wants out of life and what is she willing to give up in order to get that. This gothic fantasy horror is when it's filled with whimsy, but it's also deep and existential at the same time. Unlike any of her books, this is by Victoria Shaw. Incredibly well written. It is a standalone. Gallant. Across the Rainbow Bridge. Okay, if you love mythology, okay, but you've never really explored Norse mythology, this one is a must read. Now, this is a collection of 5 short Norse mythology stories, especially ones that involve gods and goddesses crossing what is known in Norse mythology as the Rainbow Bridge. And the Rainbow Bridge is what connects the gods and goddesses from Asgard to like human life. And if they cross this bridge, they can then interact with humans for better or for worse. Now, you will read about these stories involving the Rainbow Bridge. There's some names you're going to recognize: Thor, Odin, Loki, but there's going to be tons of others that you are going to learn about for the first time that are super cool, that they're just as interesting as maybe the mythology gods and goddesses you already know. Now, the myths are completely readable. There are some amazing illustrations in here that add to the story, and they're in black and white, which I think is almost kind of more epic and impressive to begin with. Totally, the author of this one, Kevin Crossley Holland, has another one just like this that's filled with different Norse myths as well. So if you like mythology, short stories, you need to read this one, Across the Rainbow Bridge. Hell Followed with Us. So, 16-year-old trans Benji is a trans boy. He's growing up in a group called the Angels. Now, this group is basically this super far-right religious cult, which they unleashed a virus on the world a few years prior to our story when it takes place. This virus is what people then term to be the apocalypse, and it is when people contracted the virus, they turned into monsters. Benji is the Angels' final living bioweapon, and they're going to use him to control all these monsters that have been made by this virus. Things quickly change though when Benji decides he's had enough with this and he takes off. He runs away. He's being chased by the Angels though, who do not want to let him go. And he finds himself on the lam until he is rescued by this other boy named Nick, and with his friends, and they are all part of this queer group that they live together at this Pennsylvania Atchison LGBTQ+ center. And Benji finally finds himself with a group of people that could keep him safe. But the deal they make with him is the only way they're going to let him stay with them is if they are able to use his monstrous powers to defeat the Angels. Benji soon starts to realize, though, that there are some secrets, there are some hidden agendas at play, and he may actually be used by this group right now while he thinks they're trying to keep him safe. He has no idea who to trust, what's going to happen in the end, and you won't either. As you read this book, you'll be right there with Benji on the edge of your seat trying to figure out who you can trust, who you can't trust. Is this person telling you the truth? Is he not? Are you going to be second guessing everything? This fast-paced adventure is part dystopian, part horror. It's one you won't be able to put down until you get to like the back cover and it closes. This is Hell Followed with Us. And our last one is Saving Earth. Now, this nonfiction book is all about climate change and what we can do about it. Starting with the history of climate change and the fight against it, the promotion, trying to make people aware, promote the idea, what are things we can do. It brings you through all this history up until today. And we will learn about what people are doing even today and what hopefully can be done in the future. Now, it poses questions for you along the way as you read through, and it will also encourage you to explore, like, what can we learn from the past? What's worked, what hasn't, what do we need to keep doing? This is a worthwhile read, as it is something that's already impacting our planet, and it could only get worse. It is filled with illustrations, okay, so this isn't just like word. There are some pretty cool fact boxes in here. There's little tidbits spread throughout. And it also has some pretty awesome further source reading that you can explore as well. It's written in a way that's not confusing. You'll be able to understand what's going on. And you're going to walk away hopefully empowered on what are some things we can do to help with our climate change issue. This is Saving Earth. So these are 6 of the new books that we have here at the library. So I encourage you to come on out. Check out one of these, or again, we have that amazing new book display underneath the Baby Yoda poster. So always take a look at it, because you'll never know. I literally just looked before I came and did this. There's some new manga on there. There's some awesome new chapter books. There's historical, there's some sports, there's some realistic, there's some fantasy. A little bit of something for everyone. So make sure you check it out. I just love a new book. I know you love them too. I hope you tune back next week. We have a whole new teen book spotlight, and I hope you have an amazing week.